All right, hello there. I'm so excited that you chose to tune in today because this episode is going to be so good. If you are a course creator, a coach, a consultant, and if you've been wondering why your sales suck, I just called it out. We're going to call it what it is. This episode is going to be for you. I would highly recommend grabbing a notebook, grabbing pen and paper. I have my notes too. And we're going to be talking about why your sales suck and the 4 things that you need to include in your sales process to improve it, to make it better, to make sure that you're actually setting yourself up for success this year so you can hit your revenue goals and actually confidently sell your services, proactively go out there and sell them, and also be able to confidently convert and enroll clients with ease. So again, the topic really quickly, if you just popped in, is why your sales suck. Yes, I said suck. And the 4 things you need to include in your sales process to ensure that you are, confident so you can actually proactively go out there and start selling. And secondly, actually have a system in place to seamlessly take a client through your sales journey and actually get them to say yes to you, okay? So I'm streaming this right now over on Facebook and on Instagram. So if anybody who is catching this live, if you have questions as I'm going through this training, please post them in the comments below. I'll be doing a Q&A at the end. And if you're catching this in the replay, as always, you can direct message me over on Instagram and let me know whatever questions or takeaways that you have, okay? But if you guys are new to me, hello and welcome. My name is Jerisha Hawk. I'm a high-ticket sales coach, and I specialize in helping experts like you raise your rates and be able to confidently enroll clients at your new elevated price point, right? A lot of the time when you're going out there and selling, this is something that I think a lot of business coaches or courses or things like that do not actually, I think, clearly define for you. Because as you start to raise your rates, you need to have a different approach to being able to sell your services. As you start to increase your rates and go after clients at that $2,000, $5,000, $12,000, $20,000 price point, there's a different approach that you have to take when it comes to your sales system. And if you're, in the beginning phases of your business making, $1,000 a month, $5,000 a month, maybe even $10,000 a month, you maybe not yet have even clearly defined what your sales process is, and you may not know where to tweak your sales process to enhance it so you can start to, convert more of those clients at that elevated price point. Is this making sense so far? I just want to do a quick check-in with you. But really first thing that I want us to be able to do here is actually define what a sales process is, right? I think a lot of the time when we think about a sales system, or you probably heard of like sales funnels, the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people is like automation tools, having really complicated email funnels. I need to be posting content, and they think them posting content is a sales process, or maybe you think that because you have a CRM system, that is a sales process, or that you think that you need to have different automation tools and that's your process. And I want to let you know that none of those things is a sales process. A sales process is not your CRM. It is not automation tools, but a sales process is a step-by-step, predefined set of interactions that you use to identify, qualify, and convert prospects, along with the tools that you use to make those connections. So I want to break that down. We're going to dissect that definition and also help you define what your sales process needs to be. So the first thing that a sales process is, again, it's a step-by-step predefined set of interactions. So if you do not have a documented, predefined, step-by-step set of interactions that you are going to use to be able to identify, qualify, and convert your prospects, you do not have a sales process. So again, it needs to be predefined, it needs to be documented, and it needs to include what those set of interactions are going to be able to, again, satisfy these 3 things, okay? So after you have this predefined step-by-step system, your sales process, the effectiveness and the profitability of your sales process relies on the effectiveness of these 3 things. How well you're able to identify your most ideal client and how easy it is for your ideal client to identify that you're the person for them. The second thing is qualify. How well does your sales process qualify your leads? And how well is your sales process allowing your lead to qualify themselves? And the third thing is convert prospects. If your sales process is not seamlessly and consistently converting those leads into paid clients, something is broken or wrong or deficient with the process that you currently have laid out. Is that making sense? So the whole purpose of your sales process is to satisfy these three main objectives: identify, qualify, and convert. And we're going to talk about those three things in just a moment here, a little bit more in depth. But that's the whole purpose of what your sales process is supposed to do. So that's the outcome of your sales process. But in your sales process, you also need to have, what are the tools that you are going to use to make those different points of contact, those different connections? Because there's a multitude of connections that you're making throughout this sales process to move somebody along the journey, okay? Is this making sense so far? I feel like I'm talking fast, but I'm trying to come at you quick today, okay? So, okay, good. Just want to make sure this is resonating, that this is making sense. So I want to dissect these 4 points that we just talked about, right? Identify, qualify, convert, and connect. So the first thing that your sales process needs to do is identify. And when I talk about identifying, we need to make sure that your sales process and the content that you're creating in it, the points of contact that you are putting within your process, it needs to not only attract your most ideal client, but it needs to do a really, really good job of repelling everybody who you do not want away. And I think that second part is where a lot of, where you might be missing the mark. This is where we see most people missing the mark. You might do a decent job of attracting people to you. You might be getting a little bit of engagement here and there. You might actually be getting some paid clients every now and again. But if you are more often than not getting more people who can't afford your services, that you have to be kind of like pushy with, you have to kind of beg or convince that you're the right person. Like if you keep attracting a bunch of different people who are not qualified to work with you, who are not ideal clients, who just quite frankly aren't buying, you're not doing a good enough job repelling those people away. So that whole first part of your sales process, identify, needs to not only attract the most ideal clients to you, but it needs to also do a really good job of repelling people away that you do not want. And that's the first main objective there, okay? The second thing is all about qualify. So when we talk about qualification, I think a lot of people, your brain might initially go to, I think a lot of us understand the concept of I need to qualify my leads, but very rarely is it, I think, understood on how do I actually qualify individuals, right? And before we can even get to the discussion of sales, you must first ensure that you are connecting with the right people. Right? So when we start to identify these individuals, we start to attract people your way, you start to repel those who are not away. What are we really doing? Really, qualification is all about what is your screening process, right? I want you to look at qualification almost like if you're going to the club, there's a bouncer usually at the front door. That bouncer's job is to qualify who gets to come in and who doesn't, right? Sometimes there's a list that, your name's on the list and that's how you get in. Sometimes it's based off of your appearance, if you have the right attire on. There are things that bouncer looks for to make sure that they're qualifying, to ensure that they're only letting the right people in the door. And you want to make sure that your sales process is doing that as well, because you do not want to be wasting your time or your prospects' time getting on sales conversations with people who are not qualified to actually buy your offer, who are not willing and able to actually invest at this moment, whose problem does not align with the promise that your offer delivers. We want to make sure that your sales process does a really good job of weeding those people out and qualifying those individuals, okay? The third aspect here we talked about was convert. Your sales process needs to not only identify, attract, and repel, qualify, ensure that we are only talking to the people that you're capable of actually helping, that are aligned with the promise that you deliver. But the last part is, how are we converting them? And I think a lot of the time, this is where I think, again, a great area for a lot of underperforming coaches. And if you realize that you suck at sales, or your sales is consistently sucking month over month, your revenue isn't hitting where you need it to hit, this is another area where a lot of people miss the mark or have some leaking holes. Is because when it comes to converting, right, there's a few different parts of the conversion process in itself. So the first part of the conversion process is it goes back into that second point of what is your screening process. Your screening process not only needs to make sure that you're letting the right people in, but once that person has been let in, what systems or tools or processes do you have in place to allow that prospect to qualify themselves, right? Just because you know that you can help this person, you need to now get them in a mindset where they believe that you can help them. And that's really where that's the first thing that you have to do before you can even get somebody willing and able to enroll or pay to work with you, is that they basically need to screen themselves, right? Somebody needs to be able to walk into your line of business, or before they get on a sales conversation with you, they need to feel confident that, like, I think a lot of the time we as coaches, as service providers, like, oh my gosh, I can totally help this person. But then that person is normally like in denial, right? That person doesn't actually know if you can help them, or doesn't maybe believe that you can help them, or doesn't believe that they're capable of doing it. We have to make sure that we're all on the same page, that I can help you and they also believe that you can help them. So that's the first part of conversion. The second is that you need to know what your sales container is, right? You need to have processes in place to control your sales container. And what I mean by that is your sales container is you knowing exactly what you need to say, you knowing when you need to say it. That's on the sales call, in the email, after the sales conversation. Your sales container also includes, how are you handling objections? What do you say to overcome those objections? What are those most common objections that typically come up? How do you handle them? Another part of your sales container is how you control the process, the follow-up process, right? So some clients are not going to say yes on the very first call. That is okay. But what are you doing? Do you have a process in place that, again, predefined, step-by-step, telling you what you need to do if a client needs to have a follow-up conversation? How do you maintain control between that gap between the call you have now and when you guys follow up? And the sales container also needs to make sure that included in this process is that you're controlling the process until a decision has been made. How many of you have been ghosted, right? Have you ever been ghosted by a client before, where they're like, hey, can you just send me the invoice? I'll make sure to, I'll be enrolling soon. Right? And then, like, what happens? Nothing. Quiet. Silence. They disappear off into the ether. You send those lovely follow-up emails to get what? No reply, even though you know they saw it because you have a little system that tells you when somebody opened an email, right? Like, your sales process, part of conversion is you need to control that entire container until a client has actually made a decision. And once a decision has been made and a client decides to actually work with you, part of your sales process needs to be not just how do we get the yes, but what do we do right after we get the yes? So that's your client onboarding. How are you actually moving that client into your working relationship to ensure that's very seamless after you get the yes? So your sales process is that entire flow, right? There's multiple connections, right, that need to happen at each phase of this process to ensure that it is solid. So again, we talked about your sales process is a step-by-step, predetermined set of interactions that you use to identify, qualify, and convert prospects, along with the tools that you use to make those connections. There are over a dozen connection points of contact that are happening through those three phases of your sales process that you need to have a predetermined system for, to not only get the yes, but once you get the yes, to properly onboard them into your program, okay? So I really hope that was helpful for you, because this is the year I told you guys, 2020 is a year of supernatural abundance. This is what I'm proclaiming over my life. This is what I am proclaiming for your life as well. And the number one thing for you to have to get a control of, or get your reign around this year when it comes to growing your business, is you need to get really good at sales. Your sales process, if you cannot make money, you do not have a business. And if you do not have a predefined step-by-step sales system, you're really leaving way too much to chance when it comes to properly positioning yourself to experience the profitability and the income and revenue increase that you want to have this year. So if you want to learn how to put this in place, how to craft what your sales process needs to be, what those specific points of contact need to be for your process in relation to your offer, and also know how do you fully prepare yourself to avoid those objections, overcome those objections, understand the psychology of how to move somebody through this process, I put together a training for you, okay? You can visit the link in the description here or somewhere around this video, and you can enroll in that program. It is a very new training program that I have created. Parts of this program are actually what I teach my high-end clients who pay, $12,000 to $20,000 to work with me. But I have, compiled it into a very digestible new training program because I want to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success this year. I do not want, Jay, I'm afraid of getting rejected. I don't know how to overcome sales objections to be the reason why you don't raise your rates and start to enroll clients at high ticket. I do not want you not having a sales process in place to be the reason why you don't hit your revenue goals this year. So if you just click the link around this video, you will be taken to a page where you can enroll in my new training program. It's at a very affordable price point because I want it to be accessible for you. And I really look forward to seeing you inside of that program, okay? So just click the link, go sign up, and finally define, and in this process, you're going to create your own step-by-step predefined sales system that aligns with the offer that you're selling and the price point that you want to be selling it at. So go enroll. Can't wait to see you there. All right, y'all. So I think we're still good here. I want to be able to answer some questions because I've been seeing you guys popping up in the comments. This was so great. Thank you. You are more than welcome. Hold on, guys. Let me see here if there's any questions that came up. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments now because I have some time. We can do some Q&A. But was this good? Let me know if this was good. Throw some hearts up on the screen. Share this video if it was good. I would love to know your thoughts. I'm just scrolling through here to see if I see any comments. Hey, guys. Avia said this was very helpful. So good. Glad that you're enjoying it. How do I view these comments on here? I can't even see. This was dope. Thank you, Lena. I'm so glad you thought this was dope. Good stuff. Let me see. I know I see quite a few of you guys who are on right now who've already signed up for the right response. So this is a new training program, like I mentioned. And again, this is going to be, it's a training program that is all about sales and the psychology behind sales. Because again, so many people are focusing on branding and messaging and marketing and blah, blah, blah. But if you do not know how to sell, how to articulate the value of what you do, how to actually move somebody through the selling process and the buyer journey, it doesn't matter how cute your branding is, how dope your photos are. If you cannot close the client, we're like SOL. And I think too many people far too often are just leaving the sales conversation to chance, like you're winging it. And you might be winning a little bit and making some money here and there, but it's not sustainable, right? I know so many of you guys are, and this might be you, the position you might be in right now, you are frequently being ghosted by clients. You are, relatively consistently talking to clients who are not a good fit, right? Who can't afford your services. Right? You're probably winging your sales conversations, kind of just going with the flow and then kind of sending an invoice and praying, hoping that they actually follow up and enroll. We do not want to do that. That is not sustainable, right? It is not sustainable. We want to make sure that you have a predetermined step-by-step sales system in place that aligns with the offer that you're selling and the price point that you're selling it at, so you can feel confident about being able to enroll clients consistently. And then once you have that confidence and have that certainty, this will allow you to be more proactive with actually going out there and being visible, showing up, because you have a solid system on the back end to properly monetize every activity that you might be doing, right? So get it together, honey. We got to get it together. And if you want help with creating this is why I've created this new training program. It's called The Right Response. It's so in depth. I cannot wait to teach it to you. But you can visit jerishahawk.com/live. I'm teaching it live next Thursday. And if you can't join us next Thursday, when you enroll, you'll be able to get the replay access and the workbook and everything else. So even if you do join live, you'll also still get the replay so you can, go through it again and again. And as you continue to evolve in your business, you always need to be refining your sales process. So it'll be a really good resource just for you to have in your tool belt, that as you continue to like revise your business model, pivot your offers, introduce new offers, change your target audience, you'll have a process to go through that will help you realign your sales process to whatever that offer is that you're selling, to make sure that we're not leaving any money on the table. Okay? Somebody said it was a full 100 out of 100. Great information. Very helpful. Jay, you just dragged me across the room. I lost all my edges. Well, like again, like I'm saying, guys, I want to make sure that we are good to go this year, that you are good to go this year, and that you're setting yourself up to be as profitable as you can be. And your profitability really does start with your sales process and your ability to confidently execute it and to confidently move prospects through it, okay? So I'm not seeing any other questions. I'm glad this was helpful. Definitely catch the replay, take some notes, and join me in this new training. Visit jerishahawk.com/live, Live. You can sign up, enroll. I cannot wait to see you there, okay? I'll talk to y'all soon. Let me see how I get out of this. Okay.